Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education, a podcast that focuses on what is happening in education today, connecting everyone to the movers and shakers that are breaking boundaries in the education arena.
Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education. Most of our wonderful guests have come from Dent. You may have heard about it. Jerri goes to Dent every year. Now she said, Jamie, you have to come to Dent. So we're here together. Dent is this conference that brings together people who are trying to put a dent in the universe, right?
Yes. And so I heard last night from someone, I love this. And you'll have to tell me what you think. They said, we love this conference because it is a lot of overachievers that think that they are underachievers.
Love that.
I do too, because no one here is pretentious.
Right.
No one knows the answers. Everyone is very curious. I have never felt like there's a clique here. Mm-hmm. I feel so welcome. And these people are amazing. People that have done amazing things.
Well, I'm seeing that. And our guest and we're both first-time denters, right?
Oh, this is my third.
Oh, this is your third.
Yes.
This was your first.
Yes.
Oh, this is your third. So I'm the only first timer.
Yes, you're the newbie, Jamie.
Yes.
But our guest today, actually, one of our former guests, Dean Brow, who has been on twice. We were sitting at breakfast and he said, ladies, you have to have Laura Thomas on your podcast. She's absolutely amazing. And if Dean tells us,
then we know.
We know. So we are so happy to have you here with us, Laura.
Glad to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
And Dean said that you have connections with education and social emotional learning.
Yes.
So tell us about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I actually have a startup based out of DC. We are Effective to Great Education. We're an early age startup focused on building school community well-being.
Community well-being.
Technology services.
Wow.
To advance education equity and also make an impact when it comes to our societal needs.
And it's for the little ones?
What
ages?
Yeah. Well, we are targeting right now 3rd through 5th grade. So that's how we're starting out our
That's a great age. That's a great age.
It is because they understand some of those topics that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah. We are providing them with social emotional intensive learning. And basically the way we do that is teach social emotional learning as a science. So the kids are understanding about why they are feeling certain emotions.
Okay.
They're learning how to label those different feelings. Like there's a wide spectrum, as you know, of how we can express how we're feeling so that people have a better idea of how to better support you when you need more support. And so that's like we cover utilizing relationships to do that, having a better understanding of self, being able to be aware of our environment, how it may impact how we're feeling, and using all of that information to make decisions to help us self-regulate.
Right. Wow. And having a good sense of yourself is so important. And we have not taught that in school.
No, haven't taught that. And therefore, as a society, we don't ever take the time to do that. And that's partly why we have people who, can't control their, emotions. There's conflict, right? All the time. So a lot of that comes into play.
Exactly. And that's what we are aiming to do, is to really help our schools think about how we can have safer schools, how everybody in the school community can contribute to that, and how we can contribute to the safety and security. Our students feeling that they belong, that they have good relationship with each other, but also with their teachers and their leaders, that they are engaged in the learning. And social emotional learning and education just helps you have more relevancy to all of the different core learning that they are obtaining.
Right. And if you don't feel safe or you don't feel emotionally present, you really do shut down to the learning. And so, to continue to teach you math when I don't feel safe here is futile. I'm not going to learn math.
Right.
I have to feel safe. I have to feel like I belong here in order to learn.
The hierarchy of needs. Right.
And we have to back up and realize that.
Yeah, we were having that conversation yesterday because I was saying that wellness education, mental health understanding should be a foundation. We believe that it is the foundation for learning, setting our kids up for success, and being ready to perform and tapping into understanding their potential, being able to see that even though I may not know this right now, I have the confidence to be able to share that I need help and have the skill set to point out I need I need to get assistance with my math, or I actually didn't have breakfast this morning. And these are the things that help me be able to be ready to learn.
Right. Advocate for yourself a little bit. Yes. What kinds of lessons do 3rd through 5th graders get?
Oh, yeah. They actually are part of our code. We have a co-design
what is that?
program that they do basically we scaffold our learning on the different skill domains and competencies when it comes to social emotional education. So as I already hit on, self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, relationships, and decision-making. So we fold in different skills around those areas. We fold in different practices and skills around those areas. And then after a period of weeks, they participate in a design thinking activity, which is why we call our program Mindfulness Labs. It's called Mindfulness.
Love that.
Yeah, it's the program is called Mindfulness Labs, our curriculum that we're co-designing.
Yes.
And so the kids basically throughout the course of periods of weeks that we work on those different exercises, they're developing their understanding and competency so that when it's time to do their design thinking exercise, which we call the lab, they are helping to cultivate a solution for wellness within their classroom or within the school community.
Oh my
goodness. Is this because you're building this solution, or is it going to be part of?
Yeah, well, they get to participate in what Effective Grade Education does is we learn from our 3rd and 5th graders. Right. We believe that they have all kinds of ideas and creativity that is going to enhance our product and our features. Sure. So we're trying to take all of that information and work with also co-designing with their teachers and their leaders as a team. And also the mental health support at the school and families, so that we are developing a comprehensive solution that everyone believes in and is a part of.
So the co-design is as if it's like research that's happening in parallel with their learning.
Yes, exactly.
That is so cool. And quite frankly, I feel like it's even a better learning experience for the students because it becomes more, they're part of that solution. Yeah. So whenever you have any learner, a part of the solution, instead of spoon feeding to them, but they're part of problem solving.
Yes. Right.
And designing and now it becomes something that they carry with them as an intrinsic skill and not something that was just.
And they look forward. They look forward to the lab. So
and they're practicing the skills and embedding them in something that's worthwhile to them. Yes.
Authentic,
and I bring up my daughter so often because she's a school counselor.
Oh, yeah.
But she has started doing these design thinking projects with her groups because she said it's so much more impactful than just talking about empathy.
Yes.
Let's do a project.
Yes.
And you can really learn empathy.
Exactly.
Right?
It makes it more relevant.
Yes.
They have a stronger connection to it and they're motivated to continue to practice that exercise. One of my kids said that after we finished the project, they were like, "Oh, I'm going to set up a club for mindfulness."
See?
My 3rd grader. one of my third graders. I'm going to set up a club for mindfulness so we can keep it going.
See,
that's so great.
That's exactly it. Because I mean, these kids need to carry these skills with them through high school. I just read an article about a school that just had their second suicide in 9 months or 6 months, and they both were bullying cases. So it's just devastating.
That's part of my motivation for wanting to work with schools and recognize the different needs that each school community has. But one of the core aspects is, making sure that we're culturally responsive and we're trauma informed, and that we're thinking about the safety and the needs of our kids and them being seen and heard. And that's why we're developing this school community well-being solution that we're working with diverse schools to create, because it's going to look different at each school, right? So that's why we're doing like these different co-designs so that we can make sure that we are not only addressing their needs, but helping schools be able to see these students that are suffering or who are in crisis, and we want to catch them before it gets to that point. And again, it's about that empathy is what it really, the foundation is. And we talk about this all the time. Because we want everyone individual to be secure, but also secure enough to not have to bully others.
Oh, right.
I mean, this has to be stopped. It has to be addressed. And this, I believe what you're doing will help that. I mean, you're...
Oh, yeah. And
you hit on something that was really critical, because this last week, an extended family member committed suicide. And this person was not able to ask for help in the way that he needed it. And at the funeral, the minister said he felt so lonely. How can he feel so lonely when he has a church packed with people that love him?
Right.
exactly.
And you hit on the key piece there. We've got to teach people how to stand up and say, I need help.
Yeah. And that it's okay to, and
you
that
really hit on something there.
And that it's okay. Because sometimes
it is okay.
And it's okay.
Yeah. Like and that's why
it should be the norm.
Right.
Yes, it should be the norm to be able to say,
right,
help, or this isn't I'm not feeling right.
And you guys are hitting on why
care.
This is why I'm developing this program and this solution, and why we're looking to develop different types of solutions, because we need to. It's like a muscle that we have to continue to practice.
Exactly
our brain
right.
is a muscle that we have to continue to exercise to get used to, because being vulnerable is hard.
Right. It's very hard.
And with our kids, they're able to tap into that vulnerability much more easily than we get when we get into adulthood. We're trained to not want to like expose ourselves or let people see any weakness. So, but we have to understand that that's necessary in order for our own well-being, our own getting our needs addressed. And so why I do this work with schools, because when I first started out effective degree education, and our initial tool that we were working on, everyone's like, we need this, the adults. We're like, we need this.
Exactly right.
Of course you do.
Our adults need it.
But I was part of my work is that I understand adults need it, but a lot of the things, the trivial, or not trivial, but the traumas and things that I had as a kid made me inspired, basically, why I want to do this work, because I believe that if I was practicing it as a kid, that in my adulthood it would be much more easier. I feel like as an adult it's harder to try to make the transition of being able to share and be more vulnerable and seek support when you think that no one wants to hear that. Everybody has problems. No one is going to listen to me.
But I was a former school counselor too. And I found that when I went into classrooms and taught a lesson, sometimes the teacher would follow me out in the hall and say, I needed that lesson. And then I also had kids that would come to my office and said, could you give me a copy of that so I can take that home and teach it to my family? So what you're teaching, you don't know how much ripple is going out there, right?
Yes. And that's part of the reason why we want to work with the school community. And we consider like even me being in that classroom, it's going to reach our teachers, it's going to reach our families, and we try to pull them into the team aspect of it. But even if our team is small, it's still going to have an impact within all of the participants.
More than you know.
Yeah, and such a larger impact because of the co-design model. I mean, really, that is fantastic. And I think it's so important too. So it's not just the team developing the tool based on what they think.
Right.
And, you may come from your own perspective.
Yes.
Right. But that was many years ago when some of the social pressures that exist now weren't then. So there are some very unique situations that we have that our youngsters are dealing with now. That was a weird word. I said youngsters. I feel like an old person, but it's true. And so it's just so powerful what you're doing and making them part of the solution.
Yeah. And then they feel heard. Yeah. And that's what also makes them feel that they belong and want to come to school. Because they're being seen. And that's one of the critical aspects of the social emotional education piece, is making sure kids are able to feel seen and at least know how to advocate for themselves, so that in case there's so many kids running around and that quiet one, we don't notice those signs.
That's right.
They're not indicating anything that we typically would look for. We're teaching that child also how to make sure they can tap their teacher on the shoulder or whoever that trusted person is within their school that always is asking about how they're doing, that they actually say, you know what, I'm going to tell them that I need some support today.
Right. Well, the work you're
at least
doing,
one person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about that before.
Yes.
At least one person. There's got to be, you've got to have that one. And,
there always is.
There always is. They just need to have that courage to be able to, and then the check-ins too. I think, as you mentioned, some of those kids can go unnoticed so easily. But you're right. Those are the ones that we really need to make sure that we're connecting with.
Right. Yes. Well, I hope that the work that you're doing starts to have a ripple effect across the country.
Yes.
And that more and more schools and organizations can take this on.
Yeah. And that's the goal. Like what we're trying to do right now is we're opening up this beta program partnership, and I'm testing it out in DC. But my goal is that by next summer, we'll have a better idea of how we can expand beyond Washington, DC, and do co-design, do the co-design with our beta at multiple schools across the country.
Well, this is important work. Yes, it's life-saving work. Thank you for putting your heart and soul into this.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me and letting me share about our work.
Absolutely.
Keep spreading the news. It's a really great thing you're doing. So
thanks so much.
Good stuff.
Now, can people follow you online? Do you have an online presence?
Oh, I do. Effective to Great Education is on Twitter. We're at ETG Education.
So it's Effective to Great. So
TG Education.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the best place to find you?
Our website is effectivetogreat.com.
Okay.
But Twitter is ETG Education. Our Instagram is ETG Education.
Okay, great.
We'll put all that in your bio on the podcast so everyone can link to it. So
yes.
Very good.
Oh, thank you so much. And I know we have to get to the next session at Dent because nobody wants to miss the session, right? Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're so easy to talk to.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. And if you would like to stay linked up, be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube.